Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are joining us in the world. Welcome to the Art of Athletics Festival. I'm Leila Abdelhadi Jadallah. I'm the Director of Programs here at the Qatar America Institute for Culture, or as our friends like to call us, CAIC. I'm pleased to welcome you to today's program, which coincides with Qatar National Sports Day. CAIC is an independent 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to create, curate, and execute programs and research that amplify the prominence of all forms of art and culture in society. We cultivate artistic expression and promote cultural exchange from Qatar and the larger Arab and Islamic worlds and the United States through art exhibitions, educational programs, scholarly research, and cross-cultural partnerships. I encourage you to visit our website and follow us on social media to keep up to date with all of our forthcoming programs and exhibitions. Today's program is made possible thanks to CAIC Advisory Board member Deborah Sawaf, the Embassy of the State of Qatar in Washington, D.C., and ConocoPhillips. I'm honored to welcome, although virtually today, Yusra Mardini, who is joining us live from California. Mardini has made history as part of the first ever IOC Olympic refugee team in 2016 in Rio and again in 2020 in Tokyo. She was appointed the youngest Goodwill ambassador for the UNHCR at the age of 19 and is a global advocate for refugees globally by sharing her own inspiring story. Her story is also told in her memoir, Butterfly, From Refugee to Olympian, My Story of Rescue, Hope, and Triumph, and in the recently released biographical film, The Swimmers, which can be found on Netflix. If you have any questions today for our esteemed guest, we welcome you to put them in the chat. If we have time, we will ask Yusra these questions at the end. Otherwise, we will pass them along to her. Lastly, before we commence our program, we extend our heartfelt and deepest condolences to the more than 36,000 souls who have lost their lives in Syria and Turkey after the devastating earthquake on February 6th. For those in Washington or anywhere where there are collecting stations, we encourage you to find them and drop off needed supplies for relief efforts. We've also included some links in our chat for trusted organizations accepting donations to support those affected by the earthquake. So now, Yusra, welcome again to CAIC. I know that everybody is waiting to hear from you. So let's start at the beginning. We, of course, don't want you to relive your past, but can you speak a little bit about how your life was in Damascus before you left and what your relationship was with water growing up? Did you love swimming, and did you always want to be an Olympic swimmer for your country?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me virtually today. I'm really excited to share my story with everyone. Yeah, I grew up just like any normal kid in Damascus. I had a normal life. I would go to the pool, I would go to school, and on the weekends, either I would spend it with my friends or by my grandma's house with my family. And in general, I did not really like the water when I was young, no. My dad was my coach, and it was out of the question that we're going to become swimmers, basically. And slowly I started loving the water and loving, being competitive, and started to be better than the girls that were older than me. And I loved it. But in the beginning, I was always crying because the water was cold.
So now fast forward, you are an Olympic swimmer, and most athletes who compete in the Olympics have just one thing in mind, and that's winning gold. But for you, it has been more than just a piece of metal. It's your story of courage, hope, resilience, breaking glass ceilings, and most of all, representation. As we mentioned earlier, you're also the youngest Goodwill ambassador for UNHCR and a member of the Olympics' first ever refugee team. How does it feel to represent your country women from the Arab world and over 100 million refugees worldwide through this sport that you grew to love over the years?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I struggled. Obviously, I wanted to qualify for my country. I wanted to represent Syria, but then I had the opportunity to represent refugees all over the world, and that is what I chose to do. When I entered the stadium, my mindset about what a refugee is changed, and I realized that I represent millions around the world, so why not be proud of it and really own up to that. So that's exactly what I did. And of course, every athlete goes to the Olympics thinking about gold medal, but if I look back and see the change that I did or the Refugee Olympic team did in the world, I would have not changed what happened. I would have done it again, and I would have given 10 gold medals to do what I'm doing right now and to advocate for refugees all over the world. So yeah, it was incredible, and being a part of the first ever Refugee Olympic team was both difficult but hopeful. It was something new. I was not okay with the word refugee, but slowly came up, realized what it means, and started bringing awareness about what it means and telling people all over the world that just because you're a refugee does not mean that it's over. It does not mean that you do not get to dream and be ambitious. And yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit more about this relationship with the label refugee? As you mentioned, you grew to be more comfortable with it and understand your role as somebody representing refugees worldwide, and the relationship with that and the work you do as an Olympian and all the work you've been doing ever since.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, I became okay with the word refugee, and when I competed for the first ever Refugee Olympic team, I realized that I have a responsibility that's not about me only anymore. It's about the millions around the world. I received so many messages from refugees around the world. Lots of them watched the racing of the Refugee Olympic team, and it gave them hope. And that was the most important thing for me. So yeah, a year later after the Olympics, I started working with UNHCR. I started visiting refugee camps all over the world, and started advocating for refugees, speaking at high-level events such as World Economic Forum. So yeah, that is like the point where I started doing what I do today. And in general, I've been doing it now for I think 5 years, and I really, really love it. One voice can make a lot of change around the world, and luckily I met so many people that want to help. I met so many people that want to change what's happening in the world, and that was the special thing. I built a great community around me, and now I'm launching my own foundation as well, which is it's going to be the Yusra Mardini Foundation here in the US and in Germany. And yeah, we're taking a new step to hopefully helping thousands around the world. So yeah, that's how basically I came to do it.
Great. That's very exciting. We look forward to following your foundation as you continue to do your incredible work. So one of the other ways your story has been told by you yourself is obviously through all these different engagements that you referenced, also through your memoir and the recently released film, The Swimmers, which is inspired by you and your sister Sara's life story and how you left Syria and on this intense journey, crossing many countries and the Aegean Sea to get to Germany. And what's amazing about this film, if for those who have not watched it, is that you and your sister are being played by two actresses who are also real life sisters, and we know how strong the bond with sisters can be. Can you share with your audience what it's like to, as you mentioned, both challenge the term refugee and what's possible as a refugee, and also representing refugees and your story and how you feel about seeing your story depicted on film by these two sisters as well.
Yeah, I feel incredible, to be honest, for a story like ours to be picked and to be made into a a Hollywood movie, and then a great platform such as Netflix to be involved as well, and working titles and everyone that worked on the movie is just incredible, knowing that really they wanted to make a change, and that's why they chose our story. Yeah, we signed the rights in 2018 already, and we've been waiting for a really long time. When I watched the movie, I was laughing, crying all the time, and after that, I was just proud. Like, I watched everything that happened in my life, and that was the first time where I sat down and thought about everything literally that happened. Like, you don't sit down and think about what happened a year ago, but then when I saw it on the screen, it was really eye-opening for me, and I realized everything that we went through, me and my sister, and most of the refugees around the world, crossing illegally, trying to just survive. So yeah, I was really, really happy when I saw the movie. I saw also the reaction of many people around the world. Everyone's like, oh, we cried, we love it, we relate to it. And even if you don't relate to the refugee story, you relate, as you said, to the sibling story. And the two actresses, they were really, really incredible. I think it was challenging for them too to act together. And they did not know how to swim. They learned how to swim 2 months before. So that was also a big challenge for them. So it was really exciting to see. The director is also half Welsh and half Egyptian, so that was really, really important to us as well. I think it was incredible. They did a great job.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotion. Certainly when you watch the film, there's a particular scene that I wanted to highlight in the film that really depicts how difficult it was to cross the sea in a small dinghy with 20 people and a child, and just the actress Natalie Issa kind of reliving your own experience of this fear you must have had when the engine failed and it started to sink. And it illustrates this moment of fight or flight. And you obviously decided to fight. Can you give us insight into how it felt watching that particular scene, and also your decision-making process as you decided to jump into the water and save your fellow passengers, and how that has it seems like shaped your life ever since, this life-changing decision?
Honestly, when we were on the boat, watching up, it's always a weird question, because when you watch the scene, obviously it is what we went through, and you see second by second what we went through. You can see us getting to the shore and crying. Obviously, it is something that no one wants to go through. So it was a really emotional moment for us watching it again on the screen. It's we've been lucky to survive, and after that, I don't think that was the changing point in my life. That was not the changing point in my life at all. This was something that comes to you as an instinct, as a human being. It's you trying to survive. And after we survived and got to Germany, I took the decision to continue swimming. And that was the changing point for me. It was, after everything that happened, after everything that we went through, I got to Germany and I decided to still go on with life, and decided to still swim, and decided to still dream. And that was, I think, the special thing for me and my sister, that we did not give up, that we tried our best to survive and to be present. We said, okay, we went through something really, really traumatic and crazy, but it wasn't only us. There was thousands of refugees, if not millions, that went through the same thing. And we were lucky enough that our story got picked but this is not the toughest story of all. There are so many other stories. There are so many people that lost their families trying to cross. There are people who lost their moms trying to cross. So this is what I always say. We've been very lucky that we got attention on the story, but that's what we wanted to show in the movie, is the stories of millions of other refugees and not just our story. And that was the powerful point, is that thousands of refugees, if not millions, chose to jump in the water and try to rescue other people. And for us, it was just a moment of, do I do it or not? Do I want to help others while I can or not? And it was just, my sister jumped, I jumped, as easy as that, to be honest. Of course, it was difficult and hard, but yeah, we just worked it. We had the courage, I guess, to jump into the water. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're all very lucky that you are able to be with us today and share your story. And also, that of many other people. As you mentioned, there's people who did not make it and others who have had similar experiences. And it's difficult not to think about this topic of refugees contemporarily after the devastating earthquake of February 6th. It's something that touches really close to many of our hearts, and has once again brought the world's attention to the challenges that internally displaced peoples and refugees face globally. And as you continue to use your voice and position to raise awareness, what is your advice and hopes for the future for those who share a similar life experience, or those who wish to be involved in addressing the immediate needs in Syria and more broadly the refugee crisis worldwide?
I really hope that people know that their voice count, that them mentioning what's happening, whether it's with Turkey or Syria right now with the earthquake, is very important for us to all stand together and help. This is a natural disaster. It could have happened anywhere in the world. And Syria has been, struggling since years over years. It's definitely a humanitarian crisis right now in Syria. And I know that now 5 more million people are homeless or displaced in Syria again. And it's really heartbreaking for me knowing that all of this is happening in my country. But again, there are great organizations such as White Helmets, the Red Cross, there's UNHCR, I work with them. There are also local organizations, whether in Turkey or Syria, that are trying to help with the best they can. Of course, it's really devastating that we're here. We're watching everything from afar. So that's the only thing that we can do. We can collect clothes, collect food, collect whatever we can collect and send it to Syria and Turkey. Donate. I think this is what we can do at the moment. And in general, for people who went through the same thing I went through, I just want to tell them to be strong, to know that this is not the end. Take your time to process what happened. Even if it's years ago, that doesn't mean that you have to move on. It takes a long time to go to move on from what happened, whether if it's war or crossing as a refugee to another country, to learning the new language, to meeting new people. It all takes time. Be patient and do not give up. That's my only advice.
Yeah, very beautiful words. And again, we've put in some links in the chat for those who are interested in supporting current relief efforts now, for some of the institutions that Yusra mentioned and some others as well. So speaking of looking to the future, as you mentioned, you initially lived in Germany and now you're studying at the University of Southern California in cinematic arts. So we'd love to hear from you as you look forward on the next few years, what you hope to accomplish once you finish your degree and in the years to come.
I am honestly taking it very slow with what I want to do after I'm done with the education, but I really hope that I get to direct and produce some films, and hopefully one day have my own production company where I can produce films such as The Swimmers that resonate with everyone around the world, that tells a real life story that inspires. On the other hand, I'm very excited and I'm very interested in making also action movies, which is completely different. But these are things that I want to do. As I mentioned before, there's a foundation. I'm still a speaker. I love fashion. In January, I walked my first ever fashion show. It was also for the piece by a Moroccan designer as well. So that was very, very exciting. So in general, there are a lot of things that I want to do. I want to act. So there are so many things that I want to do, and I'm really looking forward to do it. But yeah, for now, I'm mostly focusing on studying, and I'm not swimming anymore. So I'm just swimming for fun. But I'm not swimming competitively anymore. But I hope to still work with the Refugee Olympic team in the future as well.
That's very exciting, Yusra. We look forward to following you along as you explore all of these different outlets that you are interested in and to continuing to support your work. You're certainly a beacon of hope to all of us here at Cake and to many others around the world. And we're so appreciative of you sharing part of your story with us today. And it's been such a pleasure to speak with you. And do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up today's program?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me and for the work that you do. I just again hope that everyone knows sometimes it feels, when you think, okay, I want to help, sometimes you feel lonely and you think that your voice will not make an impact. It will make an impact, even if you're doing it on your own, even if you're trying to help on your own. There are, again, amazing organizations that you can reach out to. They can volunteer. And soon, hopefully, if people want to do something and they don't know where or how, we have the foundation, my foundation. I need volunteers. I need everyone on board. So yeah, I hope everyone can contact me, and then we can definitely help around the world. And yeah, again, just thank you so much for having me. And yeah.
Thank you, Yusra. It's such a pleasure. And thank you to all of those who joined us from around the country and around the world today. We encourage you, as Yusra suggested, to find ways to support refugee efforts worldwide, and to follow her along as she continues to be a voice for the refugee experience and possible futures. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.